Was the Apostle Paul the original Antichrist? Former minister and Bible college graduate Jeffrey Daugherty raises this and other staggering questions from the New Testament itself. The Christian Whistleblower asks if Jesus' original message has been warped into a fear and guilt-based control matrix. Here's Ali with more.
Thanks, Seb. Daugherty's 35 years of research challenge everyone to consider new perspectives and ask themselves, just what lies behind my religion? Are we born with original sin or the spark of divinity within?
Deep questions, Ali. Thanks. The Christian Whistleblower. We'll be watching.
And I hope you're ready for some indoctrination, because that's exactly what we're bringing to you. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, enjoying some lemongrass scent here from my nebulizing diffuser, working my color therapy. We're trying to get it all together, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to get it all together. And today we're going to talk about heaven's divine handiwork and how a reasonable being would recognize and copy as much as they could. You know that we're on Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. till midnight with a great call-in show called Late Night in the Heartland. That's also broadcast over WBCQ shortwave 7.490 and 6.160. If you do want to help with the shortwave cost, it's $1,400 a month. We have a nice booklet that I designed. We do sign and number the booklets. So if you want to help with a gift of $20 or more, we'll send you the booklet. You're not buying the booklet. You're helping out with the shortwave. It's just our way of saying thanks. I've got just a very few of them left. But if you want to, please feel free to do so. And if you just want to help, go to jeffreydaugherty.com and you can hit the donate button. Folks, it's really something, the world that we live in. And you can also find us on all the podcast platforms. You can find us on Brighteon. You can find us on Parler. You can find us on Rumble. You can find us on BitChute. So we're trying to do everything that we can to get all of this information out, the message of unindoctrination. And we encourage you to subscribe to this channel. We encourage you to like the video or dislike it, as it were. Help push us through the algorithm so more people can hear this information. So let's go ahead and jump right into our subject matter. And we're talking today about the book, The Age of Reason, from Thomas Paine. This is a series. Those of you that haven't been keeping up, Thomas Paine wrote the pamphlet called Common Sense, which ignited the American Revolution, the first American Revolution. And now here at the time of the Second American Revolution, we're calling to mind Paine's exhortations regarding revolution and things political, social, and cultural. And we also want to finish Paine's thoughts with The Age of Reason, which called for revolution in our spiritual and our religious understandings. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very powerful. And the almighty lecturer, Paine says, by displaying the principles of science in the structure of the universe, has invited man to study and to imitation. It's as if he said to the inhabitants of this earth that we call ours, I've made an earth for man to dwell upon. I've rendered the starry heavens visible to teach him science and the arts. He can now provide for his own comfort and learn from the divine's munificence to all. Be kind to each other. You know, Cynthia and I were talking last night or early this morning, I can't remember which. And we were talking about all of the people that claim the name of Christianity, which, of course, I'm not a Christian. And I'm very opposed to Christianity, because I believe it's part of the fear and guilt control matrix. And I believe it is part of it's the communist Trojan horse in the United States of America. And I said to Cynthia, I would still, even though I feel the way I feel about Christianity, I could still stand shoulder to shoulder and with patriots that happen to be Christian and work for the restoration of our republic and work towards the betterment of our country. And when I said that, I meant it, and I do mean it. And as we look at the principles of science, we look at our universe, I'm reminded of, my recent conversion to the idea that we don't live on a spinning ball. And I have recently been converted to the idea that we don't live on a spinning ball. And I got invited to go on a channel that believes that we don't live on a spinning ball. And there was some little egg-headed fundamentalist Christian who the only reason he believes that we don't live on a spinning ball is because his egg-headed fundamentalist guru told him that. So he never studied it to himself. He doesn't understand it. And I got shanghaied, I got jumped, I got attacked over Christianity when I thought I was there to talk about we don't live on a spinning ball. Why do I tell that story? I tell that story because I would love to be in coalition with Christians on the idea that we're on not on a spinning ball. I would love to be in coalition with Christians on the idea that we need to preserve our republic, but you really can't be in a coalition with Christians because Christians are so egotistical, Christians are so mean, Christians are so nasty, Christians are so self-absorbed that they are incapable of being in any coalition that they cannot completely control. It doesn't matter if you both are trying to save the baby seals. If you don't believe in the baby Jesus, they're going to attack you harder than anybody ever attacked a baby seal. And that's just the truth. Christians make horrible partners. That's because they all see themselves as masters. So why I would love to partner with Christians in the efforts to spread the news that we don't live on a spinning ball, I think Christians should be kicked out of that movement because they don't respect free will, probably because they don't have any. And as much as I'd love to work with Christians on restoring and preserving our republic, I hold out very little hope for it because unless you are willing to bow to their despotic, dictatorial God, they don't want to work with you to save this republic. And it's interesting that they're even interested in it because their agenda is the communist agenda, which is an anti-American agenda. So I'm almost ready to start a petition, kick all Christians out of the Patriot movement, kick all Christians out of the we don't live on a spinning ball movement, because they don't care about anything except their doctrine being taught their way. And sooner or later, they're going to attack all of us until we believe exactly like they do. And the reason why we are who we are is because we don't believe that we should believe just because of what other people believe. And part of the reason why we're that way is because we learn to look at the structure of the universe that has invited us to study and to imitate. The inhabitants of this earth, I know he used the G word, and wouldn't it be hard to have globalism if you didn't have a globe? Just something to think about. The earth was made by the divine for man to dwell on it. These starry skies were made visible so we could see it and look at it and ponder it. And the more you look at it, they all go round and round and round like behind me. And the more you look at it, it's flat everywhere you look. I'm just saying. And now we're able to provide for our own comfort. We're able to keep ourselves fed and warm. And we should be able to learn from how God, the divine, is so good to us that we should be good to each other. But the Christians can't learn this. If you don't want to believe in their baby Jesus, they want to kill you like they kill the babies of the people before them that don't want to believe in the baby Jesus. They'd rather kill babies than to work with people that don't believe in their baby Jesus. And that to me is sad. That to me is disgusting. And that to me is reprehensible. And that's why I have been and always will be your Christian whistleblower. They are just like communists, Cynthia, because they are communists. Their religion, Christianity, was invented by the same people that invented communism. Christianity was invented by the same people that are burning our cities, that stole this election, and that are ready to start more fires. It's the same people. Same people. Please like this video. Please subscribe to this channel. We need to push this through the algorithm so we can get more exposure for this message. Of what use is it, ladies and gentlemen? Unless it is to teach man something. Why put him on a beautiful earth? Why give us the ability to see the stars and ponder and the mind to think? Unless we are supposed to learn something. Our eyes are endowed with the power of beholding incomprehensible distances. We don't know how far it is to the moon. We don't know how far it is to the sun. But sometimes we can look at it and say, I don't think it's as far as they say it is. We watch the sun's rays come down. They look local, and we're like, how the hell is that thing as far away as they say it is? We look at the moon, we think the same thing, and it's like, I just don't know. The sky's our clock as well, as Tracy says. Why would we be endowed with the eyes and the mind to behold the immensity of the worlds that are in the ocean of space? Why is all this visible to us, and why are we able to contemplate it, ladies and gentlemen? Why? Because we're supposed to look, we're supposed to listen, we're supposed to learn, and we're supposed to imitate. We are creators ourselves, and that's what we're supposed to do. What use is this immensity of worlds? What do we have to do with the Pleiades, with Orion, with Sirius, with the North Star? What do we have to do with Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, not to mention Uranus? If there's no uses that are to follow from their being visible, we should look at them and learn things. We should look at them and see things. Now, I'm not asking you to ponder Uranus any more than is necessary. But what do we have to do with these things? What do we have to do with these places? And if we watch the fact that they're all going round and round and round us, well, maybe that's a clue. A lesser power of vision would have been sufficient for us. We don't need to have the vision we have. But the immensity that we now possess, was that given to us only to waste it on the immense desert of space glittering with shows? There's things to look at. There's things to discover. And most of us are too busy looking into a dusty old book written 2,000 years ago by guys that were told what to write by Rome and re-edited by people light in the loafers and people that were interested in humans being dominated, and yet we think it's the word of God, and we spend too much time with our face in a book and not enough time with our eyes lifted to the starry beauty of creation. Why? It's a mistake, in my humble opinion. The Bible's not the word of God. The Quran's not the word of God. The Talmud's not the word of God. Creation is the word of God. If you want to learn about the divine, stop reading books written by men and start observing the creation made by the divine. And that will turn you around. That will turn you around. That will give you an idea of what's real and what's powerful and what's true, ladies and gentlemen. It will. It will. It's only by contemplating the starry heavens as the book and school of science. Forget the books. Look at the heavens. And by doing that, you'll discover an immensity of vision. You will have your mind expanded. And when you contemplate the subject in this light, you'll see an additional motive for saying that nothing was made in vain. For in vain would be this power of vision if it taught man nothing. As we look, as we learn, as we understand, we are inspired, we are expanded, and we are able to, instead of drawing lines to keep people out, we're better at drawing circles to keep people in. As the Christian system of faith has made a revolution in theology, so it has made a revolution in the state of learning. That which is now called learning is not learning. Learning doesn't consist, as the schools now make it consist, in the knowledge of languages, but in the knowledge of things to which languages give names. Do you ever notice that Sunday school and Monday through Friday school is all the same thing? Monday through Friday school, you memorize information given to you by a teacher, and then you're graded on how good you can regurgitate it. In Sunday school, you're given information by an instructor, and you either get heaven or hell, depending upon your ability to regurgitate what you've been taught. And what you're regurgitating is only names and places and things. They have no relation to the things that they're actually trying to name and the things they're actually trying to place. Jamie Jackson says, you're right. I know I am. And I am that way quite a lot. And Chrissy, if you have and want to say things like that, then you have to have the integrity to call me at the end of the show. This is not the Chrissy Heavey show. This is the Jeffrey Daugherty show. And no one's here to hear what Chrissy has to say. They're here to hear what Jeffrey has to say. And I will allow you to call in and question me if you're polite, if you're interesting, but I won't allow you to troll my chat room like a drive-by thug that's an ATM or BLMer. It's the same thing. We're not going to let that happen. Now, the Greeks were learned people, but learning with them did not consist in speaking Greek or speaking Latin or speaking French or speaking English. Now, I'm about to learn Spanish, so there is value in that. But from what we know of the Greeks, it doesn't appear that they studied any language but their own, because they were not worried about languages. The schools of the Greeks were schools of science and philosophy and not of languages, because who cares? Because it's not in the knowledge of language, it's in the knowledge of things that science and philosophy teach that learning really consists. It's not learning the names of the constellations, it's pondering the meaning of the constellations. It's not learning the names of the planets and how far they supposedly are and what they're supposedly made of. It's contemplating what they are and what relationship they have to us and we to them. It's not memorizing scientism about the universe. It's pondering the universe and finding our own answers therein. It's not about memorizing places and dates and so-called history. It's looking at trends of history and being able to see what happens and when it's going to happen and learn to be ahead of the curve. That's what real learning is, and that's what the Greeks did. And guess what? The Greeks were one of the last great civilizations that overall believed that we didn't live on a spinning ball. For what that's worth, ladies and gentlemen. For what that's worth, ladies and gentlemen. So, almost all scientific learning that exists now came to us from the Greeks. That's why it's under such attack. They're trying to attack our educational system like never before. Because if we are dedicated to the beauty and the power and the loftiness of Western tradition and education, we will become better people. But now the whole game is to attack and destroy the beauty and the power and the loftiness of Western education in favor of this new world order communist indoctrination. We can't teach anymore that we're made by the hand of divine. We've got to teach that we crawled out of a pond and grew from slime. We can't teach anymore that this nation was founded by people that loved their creator. Now we have to believe that this nation was founded by a bunch of rich, racist, homophobic bigots. People of other nations who spoke a different language needed to learn Greek in order to learn what the Greeks knew. The study of the Greek language was none other than the drudgery business of a linguist, and the language was obtained. Now we know what the language means and what it was teaching, so we really don't have any need to go back to the language unless you want to learn how to talk to Greek people. It's no part of the learning itself. It was really distinct from it. It was just apprehended so that we could understand what they were talking about. Now we know what they're talking about because it's been translated. So we really don't have to spend so much time worrying, learning old languages like Greek and Latin. Who cares? Now we have access to the things they were teaching. And that's what we need to grab onto and hold on to. But the modern world is so outraged to the moral justice of the divine that they have actually made him to be a person that makes the innocent suffer for the guilty. Christians, have you ever stopped to think that your religion wants us to believe and trust and love and give our hearts to and literally be possessed by a God that took, in your religion, in your story, a God that took an innocent person, his own son? In your story, the only person that ever lived from baby to 30 some odd years without doing or committing anything you call a sin. And he made that guy who did nothing wrong not just die. He didn't just give him a lethal injection. He didn't just have him fall asleep and not wake up. No, they whipped him down to the bone in the story. They nailed him to a torture stake in the story. They killed him in the most horrific manner in the story. And this was all that the innocent should suffer to free the guilty. Can you imagine what would happen if that was extrapolated on a societal scale? Well, you know what? You don't have to imagine. Just sit back and look at the state of the United States of America in 2020. What do we have now? We've got these people that think they are innocent, think that they are victims. And what's the answer? Make these people that we call guilty, who are really innocent, pay all the bills and make everything right. What do the Antifa people demand? What do the Black Lives Matter people demand? And not just the ones that are in the streets, but the ones that support them, the ones that write checks for them, the ones that say nice things about them. You know, you get mad at people that are in the KKK for being under a sheet. You're just as much under a sheet. You're under your sheets at home in your comfy bed because you won't get out and do anything yourself, but you're writing checks to BLM and to Antifa instead. And think about, what is the message of Antifa? The message of Antifa, and we talked about this a couple days ago, is rich white people are the problem and they need to pay everybody else. What is BLM's message? BLM's message is racist white people are to blame for everything, and they got to pay. What's the LBGTQ? And now there's a plus. What's the LBGTQ plus message? Homophobic white people are to blame for everything, and they got to pay the price. What are all these bands of mongrels saying? They're all saying the same thing. The Western society, the Western peoples, they got to pay because we are not measuring up and we are not succeeding. And morally speaking, and in the context of this argument, in the context of creation, the Western man is innocent. All the Western man says is, I want to be left alone and not be bothered and let me go my way. All the Western man says is, I want to work, I want to create, I want to build, and I just want to be left alone. But because, you know why they want to punish the Western man? And I mean Western mankind. You know why they want to punish us? Because we're too successful. It's like President Trump was talking about, oh, we're winning too much. This is the only reason why you worry about winning so much. If we win, all these losers are going to come after us because all we do is win. If we win, all these losers are going to come after us because all we do is conquer and do great. The only person that bitches and moans about somebody else being successful is a person that doesn't have the inspiration and or the perspiration to be successful themselves. We're innocent in the context of this argument. All we're guilty of is working hard. All we're guilty of is being innovative. All we're guilty of is doing our best. That's all we're guilty of. It's called envy. But Christianity, which reaches out to the assembled mongrels as well, make excuses for why things are wrong. And then they say, oh, we got to kill somebody to make things right. Christianity wants to kill a guy that never did nothing wrong in order to make a way for all those that never did nothing right. And this communist Christian system wants to kill, and rob and steal from the people that are achievers and give it to all the people that don't have the inspiration and won't apply the perspiration to just to follow and do likewise. It's called modeling. We learn from the stars. We learn from the universe. Oh, somebody created this. That means I must be really creative. Let me get to creating and thinking and building. And you can make it even easier. Everybody knows a person that's successful. Everybody knows a person that's successful. This is when I started in sales. I had to get into sales because I was out of preaching, and you can't make no money with a degree in biblical languages. You just can't. You just can't. So I figured, what can I make a lot of money in with a little bit of education? And I had a buddy that was in sales. So I started learning about sales. And I quickly figured out that in every place there's a sales, there's one or two people that do more work than the other 8 or 9. So I decided to model those people, because what one man can do, another man can do. And instead of bitching and moaning and griping and crying about what was supposedly stolen from you, why don't you begin to look at what the person that you think stole it from you has been able to do? Why are they in a position to steal from you? Why are they better, stronger, faster? Why have they done and accomplished more than you have? Success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. So instead of bitching and moaning and complaining about what somebody else has and about what you don't have, look to the stars, look to the heavens, get inspired, and look to a person that has done and accomplished what you want to accomplish, and just start doing what they did. It is not that hard. Just start doing what they did. And as soon as you stop making excuses and start making plans, your life will change. Bitch in one hand, work with the other, and see which one fills up first. When you stop making excuses and start making plans and doing business, then your life will change. The strange story of the snake and the apple, the ambiguous idea of a man, God, the corporeal idea of the death of a God, the mythological idea of a family of gods, the Christian system of arithmetic, all the 3 is 1, 1 is 3. They're all reconcilable, not only to the divine gift of reason that God's given to man, but to the knowledge that man gains of the power and wisdom of God. And by the aid of the sciences and by studying the structure of the universe that God has made, look, I don't care who you are. I don't care what bitch you got. I don't care what gripe you got. I don't care what moan you got. There are people risking their lives every single day to get here, to get a chance at what you are already here and still bitching about. If this is such an unjust country, And if you can't be a black man in a white man's world, a white man in a black man's world, an Asian man in a white man's world, a Hispanic man in an Asian man's world, because everybody's got excuses. If you can't be, if you think you're a bald man in a hairy man's world, or you're a hairy man in a bald man's world, you can make up a million excuses. But if this place where we are right now, and borders work both ways, if you think this place sucks, feel free to get on a bus, plane, train, automobile, and get the hell out. If this is such a horrible place, and if it's a place of such injustice, and it's a place of such racism, and it's a place of such bigotry, then why are people of color literally risking life and limb to bring their black, red, yellow, brown asses here every single day? Because they see something that you have lost the ability to see. This country don't give a good goddamn what color you are. This country don't give a good goddamn where you're from, what your name is, or what you believe in as far as religion. If you can build something better, we'll buy it. If you can make something easier, we'll buy it. If you can improve our life, we'll buy that shit. Your problem is you're looking for some place to give you equality of outcome. That place don't exist. It's called communism, and you think it sounds good, but nobody, I just want a living wage. Communism's got a living wage. I just don't want there to be any rich people. Ain't no rich people in communism. But why has it failed every time it's tried? Because nobody likes it. Because here's what happens. You want equality of outcome. But that's not the divine way. The way of the divine is not equality of outcome. It's equality of opportunity. And in this country, everybody gets the same chance. And what determines your outcome? Everybody gets the equality of opportunity here. What determines your outcome is the amount of inspiration and perspiration that you put into the system. The amount of inspiration and perspiration you put into the system. And the people that are breaking into this place understand that. I just want opportunity. I just want equality of opportunity. I just want to get to a place where it doesn't matter who I am or what I am. If I can build a better mousetrap, people will buy that. Almost said a bad word. I almost said a bad word, but see, I'm a changed man. I'm on my way to changing. And my whole point of this is that when we look at the stars, that's what we see. Look, those stars shine down on all of us, red, yellow, black, white. These stars revolve around each one of us, red, yellow, black, white. The planets revolve around each one of us, red, yellow, black, and white. This universe revolves around each one of us, red, yellow, black, and white. And each one of us has the same opportunity to realize from the skies that we're a creator. And each one of us has the same opportunity to realize from the skies that we have the same innovation that created this universe alive in us, available to us. We have the same power, albeit on a much more limited scale because we haven't tried to use it yet, as the individual, as the entity that made these heavens. When I say you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free, that means something. You're divine. You're a chip off the old block that made everything that you can see. Well, then why can't I do it? Because you have to start small. So instead of creating excuses, why don't you try to create motivations? Instead of asking, why can't I get a reparation? Why don't you say, somebody help me find an inspiration? And then once you get one victory in learning how to be divine, then you get another victory in learning how to be divine. And then you get another victory in learning how to be divine. And suddenly you know, oh shit, I am divine. I can do this. And then once you start acting divine, then you'll start moving in sovereignty. You won't have to go. You won't have to go. And, people like any word have the balls to make the calls. I open up the lines for anyone to call, but I do not allow you to troll the chat room. You can't be. See, this is the perfect reason. The people that come into a chat room and troll, they're the perfect example of what I'm talking about. They're the mongrels. They have a channel. Literally every single person that comes into a chat room has a channel. You have to have a channel to get into a chat room. They have a channel. And they have the ability and evidently the time, and some of them with creativity, because sometimes their trolls are pretty good. They have the ability, and you got to quit making excuses before you ever make any advances. But they've got the same ability. The people that sit around and formulate excuses, they've got the same ability to have a channel that I do. Guess what? In 2017, I didn't have a channel. So I stopped bitching and started recording. And if these people that troll the chat are so full of wisdom, and if they have all the answers, then number one, why won't they call? And number two, why don't you start a channel since you have all the answers and enlighten the rest of humanity? Oh, because you don't have the gumption. Oh, because you don't have the discipline. Oh, because you don't have the want to. That's what it boils down to. You don't have the want to. You don't have the inspiration, and you're not willing to supply the perspiration. If you know everything, why are you here? Why aren't you broadcasting right now on your own channel? And whether you're willing to admit it or not, Christians, trolls, this age of ignorance started with the Christian system, and your place where you are right now started with choices you made. Quit blaming other people and start taking control of your own destiny. There was more knowledge in this world before Christianity than many centuries afterward. And as to religious knowledge, Christianity is just another system of mythology and not a very good one. Not a very good one. And there is people in this country that are red, yellow, black, white, that are multi-millionaires, just as black as you are, just as red as you are, just as yellow as you are, just as white as you are. And what one black man can do, another black man can do. What one yellow man can do, another yellow man can do. What one red man can do, another red man can do. What one white man can do, another white man can do. Red, yellow, black, or white, you're all equal in the market sight. They don't care. And in fact, if you're red, yellow, or black, you can get some extra money that white guys can't get. So stop bitching and start working. And you Christians, you think that you own morality? The best morality preceded you, and the greatest morality is going to succeed you because you're going away. It's impossible for us to know at what time heathen mythology began. Heathen is non-Christian. But it's certain, from the internal evidence that it carries, it did not begin in the same state or condition in which it ended. All the gods of mythology except Saturn were of modern invention. That's interesting. The supposed reign of Saturn was prior to that which is called heathen mythology, and so far a species of theism that it admitted the belief of only one God. Saturn is supposed to have abdicated the government in favor of his 3 sons and 1 daughter, Jupiter, Pluto, Neptune, and Juno. And after this, thousands of other gods and demigods were imaginarily created, and the calendar of gods increased as fast as the calendar of saints since. That's interesting. All the corruptions that have taken place in theology and in religion have been produced by admitting of what the man calls revealed religion. All corruptions have been produced by what is called revealed religion. Why is society in a wreck? Because society has allowed religion to control it, and specifically a religion, limism, you know who it is. The most effectual means to prevent all evils, the most effectual means to prevent all impositions, the most effectual means to be divine, to be sovereign, to be free, is not to admit of any other revelation than that which is manifested in the book of creation. And to contemplate the creation as the only true and real word of God that ever did or ever will exist, and that everything else called the word of God is fable and imposition. As soon as you start saying it's somebody else's fault and somebody else has got to pay me, you have disempowered yourself. You've said, I don't have what it takes to make it on my own. And if the day you start believing, let me put it another way. If you think that you can't make it on your own, or if you think that nothing can stop you, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And Brother David is absolutely wrong. I welcome you to call in, but I don't welcome you to troll the chat room. Looking for reparations is like looking for Jesus to come back and save you. Thank you, Carol. Looking for some government program is like looking for some guru. I always have said, be your own guru, guide your own spirit, master your own ascension. I didn't get no grant to start this channel. There was no program for this. I didn't get no food stamps. I got no EBT. I saved up some money. I sold my car and rode a bike for a year. Literally. Lived in a trailer that I probably, if I had a good one, could have spit from one end to the other one. It's called work. It's called inspiration plus motivation plus perspiration. And you get it done. And nobody can stop you except you. Nobody can stop you except you. And if you ever think you can't do it, go out and look at creation. Look at what was made. Look at what has been crafted. Look at what has been done. Watch a dog run and play. Watch a child. Watch your beautiful partner. And realize something magnificent made all this. And then realize, ooh, this is the book of creation right here. This is my instruction. This is my inspiration. And if I'm part of that which made all of this, then I got all I need. And go to work. Go to work. Go to work. It's just that simple. And it is easy. And I define easy as something that anyone can do. That doesn't mean it's easy as we define easy. It just means anybody can do it. Anybody can do what I'm talking about if they want to. Anybody can do what I'm talking about if they got the guts, the will, and the desire. And if you keep going out and looking at nature enough, you will get filled with that inspiration. You'll get filled with that motivation. You'll get filled with that desire, and nothing will be able to stop you. That's why the Christians want you thinking about prophecy, because they want you down in the dumps moaning and groaning. We want you looking up in celebration, gaining motivation, gaining inspiration, and then taking your head out of the skies for a minute and starting some perspiration and getting it done. You can be divine. You are divine. You are sovereign. You are free. And the more divine you let yourself be, the more sovereign you'll be and the more free you'll be. Because when you realize you're divine and you can do it, then you get a little success and then you start being sovereign. And the more sovereign you get, then you're not working 40 hours a week to build somebody else's dream. You're working 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours. Oh, yeah, it gets more to build your dream, but you're free. You're flourishing. You're prospering. You have found your great basic purpose, and you're ready to rock and roll. And because you are a chip off the rock, and because your name is on the roll of who created this, you cannot be stopped. Well, Jeff, I'm doing pretty good under the circumstances. Well, as soon as you become dissatisfied being under the circumstances and learn how to overcome, then you'll be on the right path. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I sometimes piss you off, but I will never let you down. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This is Not Your Normal Sunday. And with that, we're going to go ahead because I'm the only one on YouTube that will do this, like 11 hours a week, expose himself. Don't worry, I'm not going to expose myself, but I expose myself to the critics and give them a chance to call and question, give them a chance to call and challenge, only if they're willing to be polite, if they're willing to be interesting, and if they can come strong to the mic, have a take, and don't suck, don't talk over me, don't yell at me. That all comes in being polite. And you've got to be able to have a discussion like a rational, reasonable adult human. And the lines are now open, ladies and gentlemen. Let me open them up and let me switch to my other background, which not only has the number, but which serves as a shameless promotion of our Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. until midnight, great talk show that's called Late Night in the Heartland. And that comes up tomorrow night, Monday night, 10 p.m. until midnight. Jesus Wizard Spatula watched kittens make a home out of his kayak when he took it off his car. It was hilarious. And also, you can't suck. That's the other rule in the chat room. So all of you experts, please call. All of you that know everything, please call. All of you that are in the chat room telling me why I'm wrong instead of being on your channel telling me why you're right, now's your chance. Please call. Please call and enlighten me. Please call and tell me why I'm wrong. Please call and tell me why you're right. We're going to give you the first 5 minutes until 12:53. We'll reserve it for you. We'll reserve it for you. Oh, he will never let our call come in. It'll be other people. No, it's reserved for you. I wish I had a recording of crickets so I could play a recording of crickets right now, because that's all we hear when we open the line for critics. Did you ever notice that? C-R-I-C. How do you spell cricket? C-R-I-C, crickets recording. Let's see if I can find a crickets recording really fast. Oh, here we got somebody calling in. Let's see who it is. It's Not Your Normal Sunday. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Le Champion, Mike Hinnershit's here.
Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hey, huge fan. You know that. I have a question for the rods, possibly.
Okay, we're supposed to only be calling in right now if we're a critic.
Oh, got it. I will call back, sir. I just want you to keep doing your best. And I love you because you make people think. You don't tell people what to do. and more people need to. You're like the parent the world needs right now.
Well, I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you in a minute. It's Late Night in the Heart, or excuse me, it's Not Your Normal Sunday. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hello, Mr. Jeff. How are you today?
I'm great. What's on your mind?
Oh, nothing much. I want to clarify. I'm not an expert, as you asked for, but I'm just a simple man, and I have a couple issues, But
Okay.
ultimately, hopefully, we can talk through this in a civil fashion.
Absolutely.
So, I was in the chat, and I've seen this very regularly, where it seems as if going through history and actually take into account different circumstances that have transpired and different experiences that have, gone down. It doesn't seem like it's always accepted, or, it seems as if it's not just people coming up with these fake reasons or fake rationales as to people being oppressed or people being stolen from. And every time it's just like, this didn't happen. I don't quite get where this is just blocked out from, your guys' minds and stuff.
Well, you're making an assumption that it is being blocked out. I don't think anyone blocks it out. I think that, I'm an Irishman. When my grandfather came over here, his name was O'Dochart. My grandfather's grandfather he had the last name of O'Dochart. Then he had to switch it to Daugherty. Then he had to switch it to just Daugherty because he couldn't even get a job. We understand that there's been repression in this country. We understand there's been oppression in this country. We understand there's been prejudice in this country. But guess what? Estill O'Dochart ended up breaking big rocks into little rocks until he could get some money, and he ended up changing his name, getting better work, and he produced a grandson that wound up being a superintendent of construction that built many, many banks, built many, many high schools, and then gave birth to my dad, who helped make me the man I am. I understand suppression and oppression. Not saying it's not true. I lived in Hawaii for about a year, about 18 months. In the first 6 months, I was the minority, oppressed, repressed, suppressed, and I understood it. And I worked through it.
The reason why I have that assumption, and you can call it that, but it's based off of the reality that when you say, hey, I didn't get a grant for this, I don't have food stamps for that, and I don't have this program for this. I mean, those programs basically exist based off of the wickedness that has transpired, throughout history.
I would challenge that. I don't think they exist because of the wickedness.
Well, I mean, you can use a different adjective for it, but ultimately, if those evil actions didn't take place, you wouldn't actually have the need to correct those actions.
Which evil actions are you talking about?
I don't want to necessarily go specific and,
Well, you need, if you're going to make accusations and if you're going to make statements that there were wicked actions that caused the need for what in effect are reparations, what wicked actions are you talking about?
So we have Native American tribal grounds that are now protected based off of, the actions that transpired with them and their land being stolen.
Are you Native American?
I don't have to be to know my history.
Well, what are you worried about the Native Americans? Why aren't you worried about yourself?
I'm a human being, and I worry about human beings and the evilness that has been done to human beings.
Do you think that the Native Americans were just wonderful, peaceful beings that never did anything wrong?
That accepted the pilgrims into their world, essentially, not realizing that they were going to be destroyed. If they had known that, I highly doubt that they would have accepted them into their country.
So somebody told you that story, and you think it happened just the way it was told, huh? Did you ever hear stories of how the natives fell upon the pilgrims and fell upon the settlers and fell upon the pioneers and raped them and cut them into pieces and scalped them? Did you ever hear any of those stories?
I have, actually, yes. I understand that this was a war that transpired on both sides eventually.
Exactly. It was a war. What happens in wars?
Initially,
somebody wins and somebody loses.
Initially, individuals arrived on the continent, and they were actually not attacked and assaulted immediately.
How do you know? Were you there?
Because they would have been killed. We would not have America now.
I wasn't there, and neither were you. But let's just
Right.
think about it rationally. Let's think about it openly. And this is a great call. Let's just say that some Europeans showed up in New England, right? And they showed up there and they started in this wilderness that was nothing there. They started cutting down some trees. They started clearing some land. They started building some houses. They started planting some crops. And they had some people come up. Here's one scenario. They had these people come up and said, hey, you want to help? You want some help? And they helped them out. And they grew into, at least putting up with one another. And then one group or the other decided, hey, we want more space than the other was willing to give. And maybe that's how war started. Or it could have been where that same thing happened where they were plowing and clearing and building stuff. And some people that were natives came up and started trying to take their stuff and kill them. And they found out that these guys had these things called guns. And it's hard to win a gunfight with an arrow. Stop talking over me. That's not polite. Stop talking over me. Either one of those scenarios could have happened. You weren't there. I wasn't there. We don't know.
Okay.
And guess what? Those natives that were here, they came here from someplace else too. They just got here sooner.
Right. Systematically, the pattern has been very much shown throughout history what happens with the Aboriginal people.
No, it's not. And we're going to end the call right there. Your problem is that you believe history as it's been told to you. And may I say, you believe history as it's been sold to you. You don't know that there's a pattern of Aboriginal peoples getting decimated by evil, homophobic, rich, racist white people. It's just as likely that the white people came over here and started building stuff and making a life, and the native people said, we don't want him on our place. And guess what happens? When one people have a problem with another people, they sometimes have fights and they have wars. I would like to think that you could work it out and say, hey, there's only this much of you and there's this many of us, and work out a place to get enough space to people to coexist. But sometimes wars happen. And in wars, people win, and in wars, people lose. But to assume that the evil white people came over here and just started killing everybody and taking everything over is an assumption. And you know what happens with assumptions many times? You don't know that Aboriginal peoples are consistently oppressed by evil white people. You don't know that. You've been told that over and over and over and over. And let's just say that it is true. Cynthia says everything that we've been taught is a lie, specifically to create the reality in which we're currently living. Let's just say it was true. Let's just say, and we'll just talk about America because most of us are in America. And if you're listening from another country, I'm very glad that you are, and you can apply this to your own country. Let's just say that in America, white people showed up and started killing people that were already here. I won't call them native people. White people showed up here and started using superior technology to kill people that had got here before they got here. Let's just say that, because it ain't nobody's land. This land was just a land. Some people came earlier, some people came later. But let's just say evil white people started kicking ass and taking names without any regard. That was how many thousands of years ago? But we live in 2020, or what they say is 2020. We don't live back in the day. Like Jesus Wizard Spatula says, we are here, right now. Okay. And I don't want to be oversimplistic, but I'm going to make it just simplistic. We got black people that are saying that they are owed reparations because of what black people they didn't know allegedly suffered at the hands of white people they didn't know. I mean, it's so we got people that never were slaves believing they deserve money from people that never owned slaves. And we're being played like a fiddle. What about right here, right now? And we'll just stay with the black-white thing. Black people demanding reparations from white people because of slavery, and you never been a slave, and I never owned a slave, and neither did my family, by the way. And like Tracy, I'm mad about us all being slaves now. And if we weren't having this argument, we could figure out who the real slave master is, and we could be directing this anger at them. It's the other white meat, by the way. That's who the slave masters are. Come on. They're the ones that created slavery. They're the ones that owned the ships, captained the ships. They're the one that owned the slave markets. They're the one that sold the slaves. They're the ones that own 95% of the slaves in the South. It's very simple to figure out. But right now in 2020, there's this thing called affirmative action, and that's a wide umbrella of things. But affirmative action, and I'm going to have to do a full show on this. I've been avoiding it because it's such a lightning rod. And that caller was very well-spoken right up to the end, where he got a little upset, and he wasn't wearing his tonality glasses for today and started talking over me, and that's okay. But since the inception of affirmative action, and what is affirmative action? Affirmative action was set up to give black people and Hispanic people and Asian people, minority people, monies and opportunities that were not available to white people. That's prejudice. And I personally don't believe that you can solve past prejudice by invoking current prejudice. But anyway, that's another matter. And since the introduction of affirmative action, listen to what I say, there's been trillions with a T, trillions of dollars in regular cash money, in housing allowances, in food allowances, in set-asides, in job allowances, in entrance into college allowances, in business loan allowances, in housing loan allowances. There has been education allowance. There's been trillions of dollars given to people of color that were unavailable to white Western people. Trillions. How much reparations do you need? How much do we gotta pay to stop the bitching? How much do we gotta pay How much do we got to pay? And there's a lot of affirmative action that was not available to white people, only to people of color. You want reparations? You done got reparations in the trillions. So we tried reparation, and it hasn't been very effective. Why don't we try inspiration, motivation, and perspiration? Let's try that combination and see how it works. It's like us giving money to China as a developing nation. That's crazy. And China's been around how long compared to the USA? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. And somebody says the bitching won't stop no matter how much we pay. And that's true. The bitching don't stop till you become divine, sovereign, and free. The bitching don't stop till you unindoctrinate yourself. But y'all better get ready. Of course, there was a lot of white slaves. We all know that. You better get ready because President Trump's going to be reelected. And the gravy train going to stop. The gravy train is fixing to leave the station for good. Now, there's always people that we need to help. There's always people that are going to be needed to be helped. There's going to be people that have disabilities. There's going to be people that have infirmities. There's going to be people that have suffered injustice. And I think in America, we can make a safety net in the United States of America. If we get rid of the Fed and we seize all the assets of all these people that helped steal our election, and we get rid of this IRS thievery, we'll have plenty of money to provide a safety net for the citizens of the United States. And I'm all for that. I'm all for a safety net, but I'm not for a hammock. And if you need a safety net, we are willing to share out of our bounty. This nation has allowed us to do things and be things and create things and invent things. This nation has allowed us to achieve the highest standard of living that's ever been achieved in the history of history. And we are good people. We don't mind sharing. We don't mind helping, because people that are entrepreneurial, people that are successful, we naturally want to help other people. Lionel loves this nation. You look at people that give to charity, they're the people that got the most money. And to talk about percentage-wise, we give because we're good people. We want to help other people. We don't mind giving somebody a hand up, but we hate giving somebody a hand out. We hate it. We don't mind giving somebody a little help to get started. We're all for the safety net, but we are not against the hammock. We are not for the hammock. And Cynthia says, the color revolution will destroy our country if we don't start thinking and acting with sovereignty and integrity. Absolutely. Absolutely. A safety net, not a hammock. And we do need equality in this country. We need equality of opportunity. Equality of opportunity. You can't guarantee equality of outcome. That's communism. We want the badass entrepreneur, red, yellow, black, or white, that works his or her ass off. We want them to be able to stack G's and get rich. Because if they get rich, they're going to need some other bitches to work for them. And I might be one of them bitches that needs a job. Poor folks don't create jobs. We need to give everybody the same chance. And we need to live in equality, recognizing the divinity and the dignity in each and every person. And we need to stop looking for somebody else to save us. Whether it's a check from the government, whether it's taxes from the quote-unquote evil rich, or whether it's some sky fairy going to come back from the heavens and save your ass. Ain't nobody coming to save you. And your ship ain't never coming in. You got to swim out and meet that thing. And getting back to our analogy of the creation, all you got to do is look at it and realize you are a piece of what did that, and you can damn sure do this. It's no problem. Personal accountability is not being modeled and has not been adopted. We just got to, like Abel Matthews says, we just got to go do it our damn self. And you can do it your damn self. Equality, says Ghost Force, doesn't exist. I didn't say equality. I said equality of opportunity. And right now it doesn't exist because we have reverse racism against white Western people. It's not a fair playing field when you've got affirmative action and you got set-asides. It's not a fair playing field. It needs to be completely fair and level. And then it can be equitable. And then it can be just. But we all have the same amount of hours in a day. And we can either spend them bitching or we can spend them planning. I recommend the latter, ladies and gentlemen. LATTER. That means I recommend you plan, you work, you scheme. You know what? Oh, it's hard times. You know what I found out? I found out that hustlers love recessions. When the times are bad and the chips are down, that's when the people that are the most ingenious start coming around. And again, if you think that this is a horrible country and that people are treated terribly and horribly here and that it's no equality and that it's a bad place, then I invite you to leave, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are lined up trying to get into this horrible situation that you are in and bitching about. We go to this coffee shop in a little town here, and I walked in this coffee shop. It was brand new. I said, "What happened here?" And the person told me that the person that owns the coffee shop owns this. And why are millions of people crossing the border? Because they think it's better here. And if you don't think it's better here, then I encourage you to be one of the millions that cross the border the other way, except they won't let you unless you got something to bring to them. So I said, how this gets started. The lady that owned the beauty store next door couldn't do her beauty shop, so she started a coffee shop in the middle of a pandemic. Crazy idea. Now the beauty shop's thriving and the coffee shop's thriving. And she was a woman. Women are discriminated against. Come on now. One man sees a depression, another man sees an opportunity. Oh, Bruce is going to get us in trouble, but I got to read it. It's such a good one. Bruce says, why don't the runners from Nigeria, I think it is, spot the white guys a 20-minute head start in the New York City Marathon? Oh my! And I got to do this. I've been saving this, and you know what? I've been listening too much to LeBron James gripe and moan. I've been listening to all these people gripe and moan about inequality in sports. Oh, it's so horrible. It's so terrible. Well, listen to this. Let's talk about the NBA. The NBA is so upset that only 17% of the coaches are black. It's prejudice that only 17% of the coaches in the NBA are black. It's horrible. Guess what the percentage of white players in the NBA is? 17%. How come that's not prejudice? Why are only 17% of the players in the NBA white? Because 83% of the people that are better at basketball are black. The reason why only 17% of the players in the NBA are white is because they're not good enough. Listen, if you own an NBA team, you don't give a good goddamn if that player's black or white. You care if he can make some shots and win you games. And let me give you another little tidbit. If you are an owner of an NBA team, you don't give a shit if your coach is red, yellow, black, or white either. You just care if that bitch can make these other bitches actually work together and play a game and win you some games so you can be an NBA champion and win you some money and walk around to your friends with a NBA ring on. So if it's a travesty that only 17% of coaches are black and we got to have affirmative action to make more NBA coaches black, then we got to have some affirmative action to get some more white boys on the court. Look, I got no problem realizing that only about 20% of a league of basketball is going to have white people, because 80% of the time, black people are better at basketball than white people. And how about this for an idea? 80% of the time, white people are better at coaching basketball than black people are. Let's talk about the NFL. It's a travesty. There's only 25% of the coaches in the NFL are black. We got to have affirmative action on that. Rooney Rule. Not my Rooney, but Art Rooney. You want to guess what the percentage of white players in the NFL is? Go ahead. Take a guess. 25%. So let me get this right. It's an absolute national travesty. We need to burn some damn cities down because there's only 25% black coaches in the NFL. But the fact it's only 25% white players in the NFL, oh, that ain't no problem. You know why there's only 25% black coaches in the NFL? Same reason why there's only 25% white players in the NFL. Because 75% of the time, black people are better at football, playing football, and 75% of the time, white people are better at coaching football. It's so simple and easy. It's so simple and easy. And Pisces is talking about the NHL. Well, and it's funny because the percentages are the same in the NHL. Black players, black coaches. Wow. And I'm just going to say I've got myself in trouble. I'll get myself in worse trouble. If you're still watching these sports, then you're a traitor to America. Why are you still watching these people that are promoting communist agenda when you claim to be a truth and you claim to be a patriot? Shame on you if you're still watching them. And you know who you are. You know who you are. Brandon going low. You know what? When we stop watching these sports, and they stop making those big dollars, and all of a sudden the contracts aren't as big as they are, maybe they'll realize that when we go to a sports game, we are not there to hear about your stupid ass politics. Don't give a good goddamn who you are. I don't want to go to a hockey game and have a MAGA show either. I go to a hockey game when I used to go because I want to forget about all the bullshit and enjoy a game. I don't want your politics. Right, left, center. Sports are a way to get away from politics. And since y'all are into politics, we got away from sports. And when you get tired of them little checks, maybe you'll change and maybe we'll come back. Cynthia, who never says anything like this, says, if you can't even this is Cynthia. If you can't even give up sports, you aren't going to sacrifice shit for your country. Ooh. And with that, when Cynthia's laying it down like that, it's just time to go home. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Not Your Normal Sunday. It hasn't been not your normal Sunday. I hope we still love each other. I hope we still care for each other. We tell it the way it is around here. We bring it the truth. It ain't always going to be easy, but it's never going to be boring. Oh, man, I love you enough to tell you the real truth, man. I love you enough to tell you. That's why Brandon says hockey bent the knee as well. They sure damn did. That's why my team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, won the Stanley Cup this year, and I didn't watch 1 minute of it. I will tell on myself, I didn't watch 1 minute of it. See, this is how usually people do. I didn't watch 1 minute of hockey, and I didn't watch 1 minute of hockey. But I did watch the last 37 seconds of Game 7 when they won the Cup. I did watch 37 seconds. I didn't watch 1 minute. I watched 37 seconds. I was going to buy the NFL Sunday ticket because Tom Brady's on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Didn't do it. Don't watch it. Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. Didn't watch it. Tampa Bay Rays went to the World Series. Didn't watch it. Why? Not because I didn't like it. Okay, I don't really like baseball, but on a normal year, my hometown team's in the World Series, I'd have watched it. Tom Brady playing for the Buccaneers. Hell yeah, I'd been watching that. I watched Jameis Winston. You don't think I'd have watched Tom Brady? Tampa sports have been on a roll. Thanks for rubbing it in, Lionel. Lightning. Man, I live and die Lightning. I got eight hockey jerseys hanging in my closet. Raimunda says, I'm trying not to watch. Bro, can we just be honest? You don't got to try. It's like Yoda said, do or do not. There is no try. Turn that shit off. Turn that shit off. Don't watch it. And I know it's Sunday and I know it's hard, but just don't watch it. Just don't watch it. Watch the highlights. I will sometimes watch the highlights because they're not benefiting from me watching the highlights. They're not getting no ratings. I will watch the highlights. But I am not about to spend 1 minute on their damn networks. I don't have regular TV anyway. I'd watch on the internet. I'm not about to give them any ratings. Not about to give them any ratings. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This has been Not Your Normal Sunday. We'll be back tomorrow night at 10 p.m. for Late Night in the Heartland. I am going to try to get to upload a Cousins Club and I just said try. It is my intention to strongly consider uploading a Cousins Club and a Create Yourself today. And I'm an introduction, a prologue, and one chapter into the condensation and commentary of the Dianetic materials from L. Ron Hubbard. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I salute you for being here seeking after truth. I ask that you give a thumbs up or thumbs down on your way out. Only about a half of you have. I wish the rest of you would. And I do ask that you would subscribe and tap that bell twice, because if you hate me, you better keep an eye on me, and I'm just getting started. I'm going to get worse. If you love me, you don't want to miss a thing. So subscribe and tap that bell twice. Cynthia says it was a tough show. Love to all. Thank you for hanging in there. Brandon wants me to reconsider. Reconsider what? I don't know, but I will reconsider reconsidering. Thank you, Kelly Bean. And I really am a lover. Cynthia says, people would not believe how sweet of a man you really are. Of course, she's in love with me and she sees past the warts. I don't really have any warts, but I am a lover. I'm a lover of people. That's why I do what I do. But I love you enough to get up in your grill when nothing else works and be your friend still. I'm the Christian Whistleblower. I'm the mailman. Rain, snow, sleet, dark at night, whatever. I'm going to complete my appointed rounds. Thanks for calling in, caller, even though you lost traction there at the end. That's okay. It's a growing process. You can see I'm growing. I'm developing in that area. So I give other people opportunity to do so as well. Tracy says pearls are created by friction. And we are in the pearl making business. And Cousins, that business is a booming. So expect a little friction. Expect a little friction. All right. I salute you for being here seeking after truth. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll see you again tomorrow night at 10 p.m. for Late Night in the Heartland. And hopefully sometime in between. Not Your Normal Sunday. And thank you, folks, for helping make my week.